What's poppin', ladies and gentlemen, Darhkseid here, and I'm back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about Boxing Fanatico's thoughts on ESBC. I just finished watching his breakdown, like his first gameplay thoughts about ESBC when he went out to go test the game, of course. The video is pretty long, so I didn't want to do an actual reaction to it, because I know doing reactions I like to pause and things like that, and the video will probably be like 30 minutes long. Much too long for this, especially if you guys are going ahead watching everybody's videos. I don't want to make this video super long as well. Just want to give my raw thoughts, my raw reaction real quick to Boxing Fanatico's video. He had a lot of negative thoughts, not really negative thoughts, but a lot of constructive criticism regarding the bugs for ESBC. It seems like the game was very bugged. It is actually still in pre-alpha. I know many of you thought, with the trailers that we're getting, we're probably seeing gameplay footage from months out. That is not the case. We're seeing it pretty much, if not right where it is now, pretty much close to where it is right now. So we're not seeing it months, we're not watching months old footage, anything like that. It's probably wishful thinking on most people's parts, because I thought the earliest the game would probably come out would be later this year. Seems that is going to be the case. It's looking like it might be actually more like 2023 rather than later this year, which I know to some people is going to make them extremely disappointed, which we've been kind of trying to tell you guys to kind of temper your expectations for this game. Because Steel City is not a huge studio, something like EA type. I mean, it's going to take them time to work out some of these bugs and things of that nature. But I digress. Let's move on to some of the things that Fanatico talked about during his video. An interesting point he made was he said Fight Night being good at Fight Night Champion made him bad in ESBC. Now, I understand what he's saying by that. If you're good at Fight Night Champion, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be good at ESBC. 100% agree there. I completely agree with that translation. But he also said being good at Fight Night Champion made him bad at ESBC. Now, I think that's relative, because I think it still all comes down to the way you played the game, depending on how you looked at the game. If you played it like the Fight Night meta, straights, sidestep uppercuts, basically everything is head punches, that type of way, then I could definitely see how in a game like ESBC, you probably would be at a disadvantage. But if you played the game a certain way that's different from the meta, then you could still translate some of those skills over to ESBC, I would think. As far as peer, punches and knowledge and things of that nature. Of course, the footwork mechanics, the defensive mechanics, and everything else in the game is going to be completely different. But I think you could still have a feel of how to play a boxing game regardless. But that leads me into another thing that Fanatico talked about, which is the queued button system. Now, he said the buttons didn't feel very responsive, that the stick was actually more responsive, and I felt like the punches were on a queue when you hit the buttons. That's similar to how it is in Fight Night Champion, where the punches are queued up. If you press the buttons, you might get multiple punches coming out. It's not real responsive. Like if you hit square for a jab, it doesn't just shoot out a jab. It's on a queue. But the stick in Fight Night Champion, the punches do come out faster and more accurate when you use the stick. So I'm not sure if that's the case with ESBC. At this point, I've only watched Fanatico's video, so I'll have to watch the other creators' videos as well to kind of see if everybody felt the same way or if some people thought it was different. But this is specifically on Fanatico's point of view from his video. He did say that the game graphically looks amazing. He didn't just compare it to other combat sports games. He compared it to games, overall games in general, which is actually pretty cool that the graphics are going to be that amazing. Of course, there was multiple bugs that he talked about, as I just mentioned earlier. Talked about multiple bugs throughout. Definitely watch his videos to hear him break down all the bugs specifically that he went through. He played the game and not me, so I don't want to do a breakdown of what he was talking about where he can obviously explain it better. So just watch his video, you'll understand what he's talking about there. He did also talk about making adjustments as he played and getting better, kind of forgetting his Fight Night mindset to kind of reset and get better in ESBC. Using the movement system, he really likes the movement system, able to control distance very well, move in and out. The weave mechanic, and among other mechanics, he had a couple of issues with. The weave mechanic being one of the main ones, where it seems like it's really limited. They didn't get to play with many boxers during this experience either. I think it was only limited to 11 boxers. I'll probably throw that list up here if I have a list. I'll throw it up here as well. And it's in pre-alpha still, so there's still lots of bugs, lots of things going on that you're not going to see in an actual game. This isn't a beta like some people thought. This is not a beta. I didn't think it was going to be a beta, but some people thought it was a beta. It's definitely not beta. They still have lots of work to do to, smooth out the game around the edges. To me personally, I'm not like disappointed or anything of that nature. Personally, I always put the gameplay first. So as long as they're working on improving the game, it's going to take time. I understand that. It's hard for people because I know everyone wants to play the game right now and get their hands on it right now. I completely understand. I'm a huge boxing fan myself, obviously. I very much would love to play this game right now. Having the creators go out there to play the game, they're all gamers, all boxing fans. It's going to give SEI a lot of good feedback to improve upon the game. So, we can't really get too overzealous, try to rush out the game when there's obviously things they need to work on still, which is perfectly fine because they don't want to release the game in a rush state. It's nowhere close to being released, at least from what I hear from Fanatico's point of view. It doesn't sound like it's anywhere close in my opinion. Like I said, probably late 2022, early 2023 is probably around the range, I would assume. But, we never know. It depends on a lot of things, really. But we have to give SEI their time. I know people are going to become impatient. They want the game. They want the release date. But hearing feedback from the gameplay itself, the game sounds, even regardless of the bugs and things they need to smooth out, the game itself sounds fun. I didn't hear anything from what Fanatico was talking about where, yeah, there was bugs and things he didn't like here and there, but it didn't sound like he was ever not having fun playing the actual game. You know what I'm saying? There's things that aren't balanced, There's no stats yet for the fighters, at least in the build that they played. There's lots of things there, but the main thing I heard from the core gameplay mechanic, the game was actually fun. Is what I'm hearing. And that's the main thing. The other stuff we can, the studio can rough out or, smooth out the edges and things like that and work on modifying certain things. That's what feedback is for. It's what we need constructive criticism for. So the studio can work on things and improve things over time to release when the full game comes out. Everybody's in the game. There's no bugs. There's no weird stuff going on for the most part. Some things that Fanatico listed also is the check punch. The check punching was magnificent. I understand completely how he was explaining it. It made perfect sense to me. It's like one motion. So throwing the hook and moving is all in one motion, which is exactly how the check should be. Also, this was very, very interesting. The counter shots. So if you get a good counter shot off and you chain it right away into a combination, all the combination punches from that combination count as counter shots and do even more damage. I think that's actually a very, very cool thing that SEI is doing. That wasn't something I anticipated. That's actually pretty neat. So if you move out of the way of a punch and you throw, you can't, it has to be all in one motion. So if you throw a combination, it has to all flow. If the combination flows right after the counter and comes out real quick, they all count as counter shots. That's actually beautiful. I love hearing that. Fanatico also talked about how judging is in this game, which is something I literally just released a video about judging, I think yesterday. So this is actually something I'm really, really happy that they're implementing. He was talking about how he was kind of in that Fight Night Champion mindset where, all head punches, little to no body punches, because body punches don't score on Fight Night Champion. And he was actually losing rounds because his opponent was mixing up body and head, and the punch total was around the same, but his opponent was mixing it up. He was actually losing some of those rounds, which I thought was huge. I'm so happy there's actually going to be a game that will count body, a boxing game that will reward you for going to the body as well as going to the head. So that's something that I'm really, really excited about and really happy for. Along those lines of more gameplay, also the get up meter. Now this is something I know some people aren't going to like, because some people wanted no mini games for the get up, but in my opinion it's hard to just do get ups based on stats. Either you want the stats to matter for the get up and you don't want it to be a mini game, you just want it to be RNG, basically good luck, hopefully your fighter can make it up. But that takes the feel out of the player's hand. You have no control over that. Some people definitely aren't going to like that. Then you have the minigame aspect where you can kind of control and see if you can master getting up. Some people don't like that. But the way that Fanatico explained that they're doing it, basically having to keep an arrow inside of a rectangular box to fill up your get up meter, and depending on your stats and how damaged you are, will depend how big or small the box that you have to keep the arrow in is. It's pretty innovative and pretty neat. I like how they're doing that. And he specifically said it's hard, depending on how hard you get hit and things like that, you might not even make it up off the first knockdown. So there's no guarantee you're going to make it up multiple times. But with that being said, on the flip side of that, you can also make it up multiple times. So there's no, like, basically a fight night champion, there's no, like, if you're really, really good, you're going to make it up 4 times no matter what type of thing. So I think that's definitely another positive as well. Overall, Fanatico, basically, when it came down to it, said, you know, the game is fun. It was fun for him to play, but a good thing, too, is it also was fun to watch, which I think is a major W for SCI, because a lot of games that are fun to actually play sometimes can not be as fun to watch, if that makes sense. But I really like that this will be a game that will be fun to watch as well, especially since it's so, like, the presentation is so well done. That's going to be a big positive as well. But I don't want to make this video too long. I don't want to break down every single thing that Fanatico talked about. I just want to go over a couple of points here and there. I'll be doing like probably a bigger breakdown for certain things creators talk about in the future. But that pretty much covers it for this video. I didn't want to make this too long. There's things I left out that Fanatico talked about, but like I said, watch this full video. You'll see more of what I'm talking about. I'm just going to go ahead and do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this little mini raw reaction to Fanatico's breakdown. If you guys did, make sure to hit that like button. Comment down below one thing you guys liked from that Fanatico talked about and one thing you guys didn't like. And make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take it easy.